Welcome to the party. You found the Mouse Castle Lounge, the place to be for good times and great conversations from the world of Disney. The bar is open, your table is waiting, and drinks are now being served. Come on in. And now, here's your host, the keeper of the Mouse Castle Lounge, Tim Calloway.
Welcome to the lounge. It's May 29th, 2018, and I'm Tim Calloway. We've got a really cool show for you today. My guest is artist Denise Chamberlain. And aside from being a successful painter in her own right, she happens to be the great niece of Disney legend Mary Blair. Denise has a few stories to share about Great Aunt Mary and about Denise's own personal artistic journey. But first, explore the not-so-small world of the Mouse Castle at themousecastle.com. There you can check out the blog and all of our past episodes of the Mouse Castle Lounge, and you can even subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You'll also find all our social media links, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. To say Denise Chamberlain has art in her blood, well, is a pretty accurate statement. Her great-aunt, Mary Blair, is a Disney legend whose distinct artistic style influenced classic Disney animated films like Cinderella, Peter Pan, and Alice in Wonderland, as well as perhaps her most famous work, the Disney park attraction, It's a Small World. Growing up, Denise got to know Aunt Mary and continues to feel her influence even now, 40 years after Mary's death. Denise is a successful painter and muralist whose work can be seen throughout Colorado and via her website at magicbrusharts.com. She joins us today to share stories about Mary Blair and talk about the impact art has had on her life. Denise Chamberlain is my guest today in the Mouse Castle Lounge. How you doing today, Denise?
I'm great, Tim. Thanks, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And it's right now as we're recording this, it's about 9:30 a.m. my time, 10:30 a.m. your time. So mimosas, is that okay for you right now?
I loved the recommendation of mimosa, and also to balance it, I'm going with coffee and Bailey's.
Oh, very good.
I want to be completely amped, but then completely buzzed for this experience.
See, you are a perfect fit for the Mouse Castle Lounge. So welcome. Yes, indeed. Got to talk about your famous family connection, of course. Tell me about Aunt Mary, or Great Aunt Mary, I guess.
Mm-hmm. My great aunt, Mary Blair, she was a pioneer. She was an amazing woman on so many levels. She was a Walt Disney artist. She designed It's a Small World for the World's Fair in New York, and Walt Disney completely championed her as an artist. And throughout her career, there were men that were all of the art designers and Mary. And he supported her and supported her career, and he saw in her this amazing talent and unique style, and gave her a platform to share that with the world.
And I mean, not just It's a Small World, of course. She had been with, the studio for many years prior and had done, color design and work on Peter Pan and Cinderella and Alice in Wonderland. And I mean, just an incredible legacy. In fact, you and I met, I looked this up, you and I met 4 years ago. Can you believe it has been that long? And we were at the opening of an exhibit at the Walt Disney Family Museum dedicated to the art of Mary Blair. And, our eyes met across a crowded museum gallery. And we never saw each other again after that. No.
It was magical.
It was truly magical. But what do you remember most about Mary as a person?
Mary passed away when I was 18, so I was still pretty young to have a full appreciation of really who she was and all that she had done as a groundbreaker in the world of art. To me, she was my great Aunt Mary. She was so glamorous and so beautiful and elegant. And yet she had that air about her of sort of that there's so much going on underneath all that elegance and beauty. And as I grew up and understood her artwork and her artistic journey even more, I came to understand what it really is like to be an artist and to be a woman artist. And I will never know what it was like to be a woman artist back then when she was doing all of this groundbreaking work. And the reason I won't ever know that is because of women like her who paved the way for women like me today. But what I remember most about her was just her humanity. And she had this amazing laugh, and she was just, she was my Aunt Mary.
Was she like crazy Aunt Mary, or she was just sophisticated, artsy Aunt Mary?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Tim. She actually was kind of both. I think that she, like many creative people, she would drink and smoke and party, and then she would also kind of have those dark, quiet times. And her family life was quite tumultuous with her husband and her children. And I think that she was not completely understood by the rest of my family, who mostly were men, and they were politicians and attorneys and, sort of rooted in that kind of thinking. And so someone completely creative like Mary, they didn't know what to do with her. They didn't understand her. And so I didn't get to be as close to her as I wish I could have because of that. If I had it to do over, I would do it differently, but that's life, right?
It goes like it goes sometimes. Now, that said, with obviously Mary being a great influence in your life, even when you probably didn't realize it, how did you come about to be an artist?
So I actually resisted being an artist and was an artist at the same time. So I grew up with Mary Blair, but also my Aunt Joan Chamberlain. She was a wonderful artist in San Francisco, and she would take me, even as a child, we would go to gallery openings, and she had friends who were artists, and it was the 60s in San Francisco, and there was music and hippies, and I just thought the whole world was like that. And so with her and just through art programs in schools and the opportunity to do art, I loved it, and I would do it all the time, and it was one of those meditations for me, even as a child, where I would paint for hours and draw for hours, and that would be my comfort place to go to when there was stress and hard things going on in my life. That's what I would turn to. But then I went to school, and I actually went to law school, and I decided to be one of those attorneys, a lawyer, instead of the artist, the way my family path was laid out. And I got a job working for a law firm in Denver, and I didn't like it at all. I didn't like the people. I didn't like the work. I didn't like anything about it. So I quickly realized that wasn't the right path for me. And I went to culinary school, and I became a chef, which was a nice step into the creative world. And
so you didn't jump into art per se. You went to culinary school. That's interesting.
I eased into the art world, one respectable step at a time. And then after doing that for a dozen years, I retired from chefing, and I painted a mural in a girlfriend's baby's bedroom and loved it. And then someone saw it and hired me to do a mural for them, and then it just was off and running. And that was 1999. And I've been doing murals and artwork ever since.
Nice. Let's talk about some of your art too. You are responsible for the largest outdoor mural in Colorado. Tell me about that.
I am. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be commissioned to paint the spirit of Nahuatl, and it is 170 feet long and 25 feet tall. And it's a landscape of the history of this sweet little town in Colorado called Nahuatl. It's named for the left-handed Native American chief whose tribe was in this area. His name was Nahuatl, and the word Nahuatl means left hand. So this mural depicts all kinds of images and icons that are representative of the town and the area and the culture and the arts of Nahuatl and the natives who used to live here.
How were you approached to take on this project, or was there's like a bidding process, or what was how did this come about?
Yeah, the Spirit of Nahuatl was a public art mural, and so those are funded through public money. So anytime you do that, there is a bidding process. So the way it worked here in Nahuatl is the Nahuatl Cultural Arts Association wanted to create a mural and fund it and figure out how to do this. And so I volunteered to help sort of coordinate and help them understand the process and how to go through all of that. And then we sent it out to bid. We had, I think, 24 artists submitted proposals, and some of them were really clever. I mean, all of them were really great. And so there was a selection committee. Of course, I wasn't a part of that. And anonymously, they selected my design. And so as a way to honor everybody who had competed in this arena, I invited all the artists to come. And a lot of them came and helped, and we worked together on this mural.
Now, from concept to completion, how long did this take?
Oh, man. Well, it took about a year for the process to even get out to bid. And then once that happened, once we started with the painting, we started in April and finished in November of 2011.
Where did you feel like under pressure as you're getting into November and it's like, oh, goodness, we need to hurry this up?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. In the heat of the summer, this is painted on the side of a building on corrugated metal, and the sun would hit it right around noon in the heat of the summer. And so I would go out there at 4:00 in the morning with a headlamp and start painting and try and get as much done as I could before it got too hot. And then, into October, there were days I couldn't go paint because it was snowing. So,
oh my gosh.
And temperature is a concern. And we put a sealer coat on top of that, and that had to be a 50-degree day. So, there were some amazing challenges to that experience, including the weather.
What are some of the elements and images that you worked into the mural?
I really wanted the mural to be interesting to people outside of Nahuatl who may not understand all of the little hidden icons and details. But I did want to have special little pieces, elements, just for the people of Nahuatl to understand. So one of them is the train, of course. Nahuatl started as a little train town. And so there's, at one end is the engine of the train coming out of a tunnel, and at the other end is the caboose going into a tunnel. And then between all of that are all these images. And there's a river going through it, and there's a little yellow rubber ducky in the river, and that's symbolic of a little fundraiser that the local newspaper does every year, a little duck race. Prairie dogs are a part of life out here in the West. They are these adorable little burrowing creatures that torment and torture farmers and delight children and people who love little animals. So so I put a prairie dog in the mural, and so Nahuatl, the word Nahuatl means left hand. So I put a left-handed prairie dog in the mural.
Now, how do we know it's a left-handed prairie dog?
Well, he's standing next to the train, giving it a little wave with his left hand.
Very good.
That's the only giveaway that you get. I also painted a little teepee village on a hillside, and to honor the Native Americans that were in this valley. And while I was working on the mural, inside this building is a pie shop, and they would make pies every day. And I would smell these pies and eat pie pretty much every day. So the teepees that are there, one of the teepees has little smoke coming out of the top of it, and that is pie smell.
Of course it is. Very good. I love that. See, and these are the little backstories and little details that maybe the casual observer wouldn't notice. That's really cool. Now, your work obviously entails more than doing massive outdoor projects. You do smaller stuff too. Tell me about Magic Brush Arts.
So Magic Blush Arts is my business. It was founded in 1999, and I pretty much do all kinds of commissioned artwork. I do hand-painted furniture. I do pretty much, Tim, honestly, whatever it takes to pay the bills. I do have a website, a sister website called Magic Brush Pets, and that is all kinds of just treasured keepsakes of pets, like picture frames and treats boxes and memory boxes for keepsakes and ashes of pets called Little Box of Heaven.
As an artist, what inspires you, and who are some of your artistic influences?
Oh,
Aunt Mary,
wow.
obviously.
Aunt Mary, of course, and a lot of artists, went from when I was growing up in the 60s, of course. And now there seems to be this new, this really great, fun sort of public political art that's coming out of sort of the current climate. And so I would say Banksy. Most people are familiar with his work, even though he's an anonymous artist. And he does public art murals. Technically, no one really knows who he is, although I think he's being discovered more and more. But his artwork is very clever and creative, and he'll take the side of a building where something is there, and he'll add to it to create a statement, not always political, but a statement. For example, the signs, the street signs that have a red circle with a slash through it. Mm-hmm. He went through London and stenciled a gerbil inside those to make it look like a gerbil running on a wheel. So clever and so fun. And so I like him, and I like what he's doing with art, the way he's using it. There's a new artist that I've recently discovered named Luke Egan. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but his street artist name is Filthy Lucre. And that name alone has a really interesting history. But he does
yeah, it does.
He does these great, bright, colorful urban installations that are large-scale, three-dimensional, like inflatable blow-up toys. And so he'll take a building with balconies and do octopus tentacles coming out from each balcony. And it's just so whimsical and clever and huge. And I don't know, if you get a chance, look up his stuff. I think he's amazing.
Let's flip it around a little bit. What the work that you do and the art that you create, how do you want it to inspire others?
Wow, that's a good question. People don't really ask me that question very often. I think that first and foremost, I would like people to see my art and feel delighted, to feel my art tends to be whimsical and fun and colorful. And also when I'm creating it, I love it so much. It makes me so happy. And I would like that happiness to translate to people who are seeing it. Just use of color and use of design, and to sort of have that joy translate. And then also, there were times when I was a kid when I saw artwork and I was thinking, wow, I love that, and I could do that. Like, I understand this art, and I think that there's a piece of me in that, and I would like to explore that. And I would love it if people saw my art and felt the same way.
Along that line, are there art pieces from Aunt Mary that you still have in your house?
I do. I have a couple really beautiful pieces. One is a rendering of It's a Small World that is very eclectic and colorful, and it's on a black background. And it's one of my favorite pieces. It hangs in my living room, and I look at it every day.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's sweet. And so Mary used to make her own frames, and she would extend her artwork onto the frame somehow. There would be some little reference of the artwork on the frame. And so I hand-painted a frame. I made a frame and hand-painted it for this piece. It's colorful, and it just has her whimsical style kind of reflected.
Nice. She did like to use black backgrounds to kind of bring out the boldness of the color she used.
Yeah, she did. She did. I love that you know so much about Mary. I think that would make her happy too.
Well, I don't know. I can't say I know. I know what I like, I guess, and I've looked at enough of her art, and there are just certain things that just kind of jump out.
I really like the book. You had mentioned the Mary Blair exhibit in San Francisco, and John Canemaker had curated that exhibit, and I thought, and there's also a book that he did of the art pieces there, and I thought he did such a good job of, showing some of these styles and pieces that she did, and pointing out some of those details. Magic, Color, Flair, The World of Mary Blair.
That's the one. That's the one from the exhibit. That's the one from the exhibit. Yeah. And there was another book that John Canemaker had done prior to that. That was just very extensive.
Yep. So and John in his own right is quite a figure in the art world. I think people who are interested in Mary's work and in Disney's work would really enjoy learning more about John.
Oh yeah, and I mean his work in animation, and he teaches at New York University, and he's done some incredible work for art and animation history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If people want to get a hold of you in Colorado, they can visit your website. And Magic Brush Pets or magicbrusharts.com, one of those?
Yes, magicbrusharts.com is my website. It's actually being worked on right now, so if you go to that, you'll be directed to Magic Brush Pets. But it's another way to find me. And there's a blog on the Magic Brush Pet site that actually is about painting the spirit of Nahuatl Mural. So there's some pictures there. And so, either of those, magicbrushpets.com, magicbrusharts.com will take you to that place.
Well, Denise, this has been an absolute pleasure. We haven't talked in quite some time, and we need to stop being strangers, I guess, and maybe go fewer than 4 years before we get together, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And congratulations on reopening the Mouse Castle. I'm so excited that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Huge success. I think you're a great talent, and looking forward to more interviews.
Thank you so much, Denise, and thank you for being our guest today in the Mouse Castle Lounge.
It was my pleasure. Thank you, Tim.
And that will do it for this edition of the Mouse Castle Lounge. Thank you, Denise Chamberlain, for being my guest. Stay current with everything in the Mouse Castle Lounge by visiting us at themousecastle.com. And while you're there, check out some of the items I have for sale from my personal collection of Disney memorabilia. Just click the Mouse Castle sale to see it all. And if you want to see what my day job as a voice actor is all about, just drop by my website at vegasvoiceactor.com. The Mouse Castle is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. I just like to talk about them. I'm Tim Calloway. It's been a blast as always, so let's do this again real soon. Take care.